Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Common English Mistakes. Don't just learn, improve. So today we're going to look at another real-world mistake that my Dutch friend made when using everyone's favorite question tags. Question tags, generally something students don't like studying, but teachers don't like teaching also. However, if you speak to native speakers, you will hear these, so it is good to understand how they work and when to use them. The good news for you guys, however, is that I've got a really simple trick, a natural thing you can use, which means you don't have to worry about question tags. But anyway, the mistake is up here. There's an exam tomorrow, isn't it? So just pause the video, try to correct the sentence. And well done if you said there's an exam tomorrow, isn't there? So firstly, what is a question tag? Well, it's something we put at the end of the sentence, and basically it turns a statement, there is an exam tomorrow, into a question. There is an exam tomorrow, isn't there? Generally, this is more a spoken language skill, and you're going to use them for when you expect agreement, when you expect the other person to agree with what you think or what you say, or just to confirm something. Going back to the example, if you didn't know, you would probably just ask a question. Is there an exam tomorrow? But if you're fairly sure, 80% sure, it's a good situation to use these. There's an exam tomorrow, isn't there? So that's when and why we use them. Let's now look at how to form them. Question tags are always going to be two parts, verb plus pronoun. We'll look at which verb to use in a moment, but the pronoun is always going to refer to the subject of the sentence. For example, there is an exam tomorrow, isn't there? John likes football, doesn't he? Spain is hot this time of year, isn't it? If there's a positive sentence, like the example, you're going to use a negative question tag. If it's a negative sentence, use a positive question tag. For example, there isn't an exam tomorrow, is there? The key thing here is it doesn't matter which one you do, the answer is always the same. You're answering the statement, an exam tomorrow. We can also ask the question tag in two different ways using our intonation, and they have slightly different uses. So I'm going to say this one up here now. John likes football, doesn't he? Just pause the video. Did my voice go up or down? And was I asking a real question or just confirming something? And well done if you said, John likes football, doesn't he? My voice went up, and we use this for when we ask a real question, when we don't really know. This one I find students do kind of automatically, so you don't need to worry. The other one is a little bit more difficult. John likes football, doesn't he? With a more flat or down intonation. This one you're going to use when you think you know and you're just confirming something. Students generally find this more difficult to say. I find it helps if they just frown a little, like I did. Spain's hot this time of year, isn't it? I don't know why, does seem to help. So let's now look at the verbs we use to make the question tag. Basically, it's going to follow the same 4 rules you use to make negatives and make questions. So first, if you have verb be in the statement, like the example, there is an exam, you're going to use be in the question tag, isn't there? Or in the past, she was at the party, wasn't she? In a continuous, it's raining outside, isn't it? Or future going to, you are going to be here tomorrow, aren't you? Verb be in the statement, verb be in the question tag. And then if it's a main verb, like eat, go, or have, we're going to use do, does, did in the question tag, just like we would with a negative or a question. So, she eats fish, doesn't she? You went to the supermarket yesterday, didn't you? And be really careful with the verb have, because just like when we make negatives or questions, we don't use verb have. It's a main verb, so we're still using the do, does, did auxiliary. You have a car, don't you? But then if we have verb have as an auxiliary in the statement, like with present or past perfect, just like with negatives and questions, we're going to use have in the question tag. So, you've been to India, haven't you? He hadn't seen that film, had he? And also then with the structure have got, has got, because again, have is an auxiliary. So, you've got a car, haven't you? And then finally, if you have a modal verb in the statement, just use that same modal verb. So, you can play guitar, can't you? It will be okay, won't it? We should leave, shouldn't we? So those are the 4 rules of which verb to use to make the question tag. I always think it's a good thing to study because it's part of a wider pattern that we see in different areas of English. We use the same rules to make negatives and questions. Answers to those questions, short answers. You see the same pattern with so and neither. And when you get to a high level, you're going to meet inversions and we see the same pattern there. So I always think it's worth Googling question tag exercises and doing some practice. It will help you in other areas. However, this is always my favorite part of teaching question tags. When I say, everything I just taught you, you don't need. It's unnecessary. Forget it. Because instead of thinking which verb to use, which pronoun to use, isn't there, doesn't she, hadn't he, won't it, there's a really easy thing you can use instead. And it's just simply the words yeah or right. This is something native speakers use all the time. So we can say, there's an exam tomorrow, right? She eats fish, yeah? He hadn't seen that film, right? And it'll be okay, yeah? Works exactly the same way. Make things easier for yourself. The only difference is that yeah is really, really informal. So you wouldn't say to your boss, there's a meeting tomorrow. Yeah? Way too casual. Instead, there's a meeting tomorrow, right? Right is nice, semi-formal, works in any situation. And there are also a couple of phrases which work exactly like question tags. Don't you think? And wouldn't you say? These are more though for opinion. So for example, that restaurant was lovely. Don't you think? That film's awful. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say is a little bit less common as well. So anyway, that's basically it for today. No exercises, but I've got something for you to do in the comments. All I want you to do is write a statement or statements either about me, about the UK, or any general opinion you have. And then try to follow them up with a question tag. For example, you like football, don't you? The UK is very rainy, isn't it? And sadly, Spain deserved to win the Women's World Cup final, didn't they? Do that in the comments, guys. Always good to practice the language. Anyway, other than that, do make sure, if you haven't done so already, to hit that subscribe button. There are lots of videos on question tags. I don't know anyone who's given you that really good advice of using right, yeah, wouldn't you say, don't you think? That's the kind of natural English you're going to find on this channel and not elsewhere. Other than that, I'll see you in another video in the next few days. So until next time, see ya.